Today we're going to be talking about the 2020 Honda Pilot. This specific model of Honda Pilot was built starting 2016 and it's still built to the present day. It shares the same platform with the Acura MDX and the Honda Odyssey. It's basically the same engine, very similar suspension to the Acura MDX, and is the same exact transmission, the 9-speed automatic. Talking about the design of the Honda Pilot, this car is a 3-row SUV that looks very Japanese. I mean, the face is a little busy, the back side of the car is a little busy, but from the side it looks pretty classical. The car has 3 rows of seats, and I'll demonstrate that in the video, but in the 3rd row only children can fit. This 3.5-liter engine produces about 280 horsepower on the Honda Pilot. It's basically the same engine as the Acura MDX, but detuned by 10 horsepower, which is not a big deal, to be honest. This engine in this generation has direct injection and has variable cylinder deactivation. Basically, the system shuts off half of the engine when you're under low load conditions and at highway speeds, so you can get better fuel economy. I personally drive an Acura MDX with the same exact engine and the same exact transmission. I get around 23 to 24 miles to the gallon average. This specific engine is silky smooth, and when idling, you cannot even feel any vibrations or any sounds from it. It's that good. It's probably the best engine in its class. Historically, this engine has had problems with oil consumption, but people just turn off the cylinder deactivation and then the oil consumption goes away. The oil consumption problem that we talked about has not happened to this owner and not happened to me. I drive a 2020 Acura MDX as well with the same exact engine, and the car doesn't burn oil at all. One of the weak points of this car is this transmission. It's not as fast to shift, and the owner says that sometimes when the car is cold on a cold start, the transmission is hesitant to get into gear and to get moving. Talking about the interior of this car, the multimedia system is very simple and intuitive. It's an Android base, comes standard with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on all trim models. The seats in the Honda Pilot are pretty stiff compared to its competition, to let's say the Mazda CX-9 or to the Volkswagen Atlas. They say that the camera adds 10 pounds. So if you're like me and you've eaten 15 cameras, you'll find that these armrests are pretty uncomfortable because when you're overweight, then it's basically impossible to use them. The 3rd row is an awesome feature to have on paper, but in reality, it only fits children or adults, but on very short trips. Now in the 2nd row, there's plenty of legroom and headroom for an adult, but even for people like me, you can find yourself comfortable back here. Talking about the trunk, in the trunk of this car, you can fit another car. That's how big it is. That's with the 3rd row folded. When you pull up the 3rd row, the trunks become significantly smaller, and it has a trunk similar size to Volkswagen Golf. And the most important part, this car has the sticker, the Dads of Castle Rock sticker. Driving the 2020 Honda Pilot. First thing that you feel when you start driving it is that the steering wheel is very light. Super light. Like if I thought that the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport was a light steering wheel, no, this Honda's even lighter. But it's pretty informative, so I cannot complain about it. The engine has plenty of low down torque. It's more than enough for everyday driving. It's a really good engine. It has plenty of torque on the highway. I really like it. Now the transmission. The transmission was hesitant when I first started the engine. But right now, after driving it, to be honest, it's not half bad. It's not half bad. It's a pretty decent transmission. You don't feel the shifts, and it's always in the right gear, so I don't know what the complaints are about. Talking about the suspension of this car, the suspension is more on the soft side. You feel pretty isolated from the road. That's why it makes it such a great family car, because when you're hauling your kids, your family, you don't want to be distracted by any stiffness or imperfections in the road. So who does this car compete with? One of the competitors is the Volkswagen Atlas, another 3-row SUV. But the Atlas feels more basic. It's not as beautiful, and the materials are not as good as here. Now, on the other hand, you have the Mazda CX-9, which the materials are even better than here. The interior is nicer, but is not as practical and utilitarian as this Honda is. Overall, the car feels very well balanced, well put together. It feels like it's going to last forever. Plus, it's a Honda. It's famous for its reliability. So if you want a good 3-row SUV that's not great at anything, but it's good at everything, I think this is the best car for you. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and see you next time.